are everyone doing? I'm so sorry that I didn't get up at 4:30 this morning to cover the Tronnes verdict. I woke up at 6 to a message from Dave. Get your ass in front of the screen. There's a verdict. So I missed it, but I didn't watch it, so I can react when he's released, just as surprised as all of you.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
Either, actually, did not.
No. Yeah,
We
it
were
be that way sometimes.
up his stream and it was already passed, so
Hey, Peanut, Peach Peony, Danny T, Greedy Bloke, all the way from the UK, and Miss Rapid, Jung. Do I get a yoga video for Saturday? Maybe.
Maybe. You're lucky.
There was a verdict at 10:30 Eastern time, I think. Hello. Hello, Miami. And Murphy's here. Shenanigram. Good morning. Isn't it like at 1:30?
It is still morning for her.
Oh, yeah, she's California. Yeah.
Mhm.
Hey, Holly. And Jackpot Spring. Mo was so close to giving the verdict on her screen, so I haven't seen it. Oh, it didn't happen. Asia Stand. Farrell, thank you so much. And Josie, I can't speak today. No, but and we will hopefully at 2 we will cover the trial. Shishi and I, and of course Miss Jamie, did the Care Rinatala. I haven't seen anything where they might be showing it, but we'll keep a eye on it because I can find something about our lovely friend Mr. Tronnes in Florida,
Mhm.
and cover that one up. And any guesses how it will go? They had that question yesterday asking about what premeditation meant.
Yeah.
So that led me to believe they will probably try and do one of the lesser includeds.
I don't know though.
I don't know.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, they want to know what the definition of premeditated legal definition. Is that what they said?
Yeah, the legal. If she could elaborate on the legal definition on premeditated. So
And there was 2 lessers. It was second and manslaughter.
Yeah, I believe so.
We're also included.
So, yeah, I did. Why did you say that, Greedy? Because I hadn't looked at the. Let's just watch it, Greedy. Greedy, do you tell your kids what they get for Christmas a week before? Well, thanks for ruining this. I didn't even see that.
I didn't either until you said something.
Hey, Chris. Welcome. Then let's hear it because now I'm sad.
I want to remind everyone in the gallery that it's incredibly important for decorum after a
Maybe
verdict.
put in a spoiler alert. Maybe
absolutely
I should read what I put on the screen.
For many people and for good reason.
That's all they need.
You must do everything you can not to make anything audible, not to make any kind of facial expression when there's a verdict in. And if you don't follow those rules, the deputies will be taking you out right away. And in fact, there can be other things that happen from there.
So well, I wasn't surprised he was guilty.
State ready?
But
yes, Your Honor.
Funds ready?
The jury out. Which one of the lesser included?
I mean, I still don't think he should have been found guilty, but it is what it is.
Yeah. We knew when the phone and his the way he acted, we knew that a jury would found it, but technically they didn't prove it, in my opinion.
No.
Salbert. Yeah, why didn't you set up a co-stream? Shissy.
If
Yeah, but, so why am I not co-streaming this particular one? Well, yes, I could. I wanted to see everybody come over here and support the baker. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I did that. Baker's been on this case the whole time. I'm interloper on this particular one. Love you guys though. Thank you.
Yeah, I know Sal is all over my trials. No, trails.
Trails. Gotcha.
No, Josie knows how to play it cool.
It's my understanding you've reached a verdict.
We
Will you hand the verdict
probably
form to the court
gonna
deputy,
have to
please?
ban Greedy from the next sentencing if I don't get out of bed.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't follow this trial, so I don't know anything about it. I feel like I'd be doing an injustice to my audience.
2020 CF 12472
You did all the legwork on it.
AL, the Circuit Court of the 9th Judicial Circuit in Fort Orange County, Florida.
Oh, that trail is
We, the
perfect.
jury, find the defendant guilty of first-degree murder as
Dictionary Diva, because Americans have a slight hatred against Danish people, they chose to do the sentencing, give the verdict last night at 10:30 Eastern time. And even though I get up really early and go on MG stream most days, I was sleeping at that time. So we're just going to do that, and then hopefully we'll find somewhere they are going to share, stream the sentencing of Miss Care Rinatala, another one not proven guilty, in my opinion. Greedy, you should do it at any time. I could just read my own stuff. A lot of Danish hate. I have been a victim of it the last couple of weeks. They came back really fast. No, it took them. They went right after lunch. I think roughly 7 to 8 hours. So that's a long. I had predicted between 1 and 2, and then because I was getting ready to go on Dave's channel with Turtle Boy, but then I jumped off at midnight because I couldn't do it anymore if I had to get up today and follow it again.
Yeah,
I liked some of the abuse, but cheesecake and the cheese danishes, I don't like it.
that's beyond abuse.
I'm not familiar with him, but of course he's a Dane. I know all about him, and I follow Formula One, but I don't know him personally. I don't run in circles with guys with a lot of money.
Well,
AC
and
Swift.
I'll address Chris Mullen there. It says thinking of a different case. No, you've got the right case, the Care Rinatala, but we're not sure if we're going to be able to even find that particular one. We're looking for the updates on it. We'll find out.
Well, Sal had an unfortunate peen accident, and he ended in court. And we'll see if he's guilty. Hey, Wolfram.
charging the indictment. So it says we all dated at Orlando County, Orange County, Florida, on the 18th day of October,
they give it?
2023, signed by the
Yeah, he's guilty.
Orange County, Florida.
Yeah, they said first degree.
Number 2020 CF 12472 AL, the Circuit Court of the 9th Judicial Circuit in Fort Orange County, Florida. Verdict reads, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty of first-degree murder as charged in the indictment. So it says we all dated at Orlando County, Orange County, Florida, on the 18th day of October, 2023, signed by the foreperson.
Decided the state or the defense wished to have the jury polled.
Yeah,
Well,
Your Honor.
of course they did.
Juror
They
number
hate everyone.
493, is this your true and accurate verdict? Yes. Juror number 486,
I-
is this your true
I
and
have to
accurate
say,
verdict?
I'm kind of surprised that
Juror number 142,
they
is this
gave
your
him
true
first
and
degree after
accurate
that
verdict?
question.
I
Juror
know.
number 121, is this your true and accurate verdict?
Because asking about
Juror number
what
88,
does
is this your true
prim-
agree? Is
It
this
to
your
'em.
true and accurate verdict?
So maybe they
Juror
just were
number
like,
624,
whatever,
is this
let's do it
accurate
then.
verdict? Juror number 714, is this your true and accurate verdict?
in my opinion, not. But we know how cases goes.
481,
We've seen enough of cases, and we're going to see a sentencing in another case where they absolutely didn't prove it.
Juror number
Yes.
273,
So-
is this your true and accurate verdict? Juror number 704, is this your true and accurate verdict?
I just
Ladies
find
and
it
gentlemen, I want to thank you again
weird.
for your time and consideration of this case. I also wish to advise you of some special privileges enjoyed by jurors. No juror can ever be required to talk about the discussions that
I'm
happen
just
in
going
the
to
jury
take the
room.
sun off the
set by
screen because
court
I don't
order.
like it when
For
they
many centuries, our
take
society
pictures
has
of
relied upon juries for
of
consideration.
minors, and she's just going to tell
them.
them all the stories we know. You can talk to the press if you wanna. Na.
Yeah.
You can dance if you wanna. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba-bam. But yeah, I'll be straightforward and say I said from the beginning I thought he did it, but I didn't think they proved it.
They didn't prove anything.
And no, no reason. They went in with a renovation project gone wrong motive, and then all of a sudden it changed to a money motive, and then we found out he had more money than she did. It's to me that's just kind of annoying. You know what juries are like these days. It's all about their gut rather than whether. Yeah, and I have said that more times than one that I think one of the problem with the American system is people don't want to be there. They might not be paying too much attention. Then probably not very educated on what is reasonable doubt, what is the level you have to prove to find someone guilty. I think if he well he already wrote a book on it. Steve Gosney should go to every high school in the country and tell people about what are the minimal requirements to finding someone guilty. And that's why I like our system, because everyone wants to be there. Everyone is kind of trained by doing it a lot of times in how you look at a case, how you evaluate a case. And yeah, I know people don't give a poop anymore, but that's how Rome fell. When it's pane et sisane, Rome is gonna fall, and we are all either on the left or the right. Everyone is talking about how, hey, Carlene, how bad society has gotten.
Well,
It
that's
has nothing.
Well, that's one of the biggest issues is, Rome didn't fall in, overnight. It took decades on decades on decades of people not caring,
You
Yeah.
should
just giving
have
up on it.
a way higher standard to send somebody to prison for the rest of their life. That's all I gotta say. Like, you know what I mean? And you should really take it seriously. And that bothers me a lot because I think, and it sounds crazy, but I think we have way too much trust in our like law enforcement and government, and we're like, oh well, they have somebody, they charged somebody, they arrested somebody, they must have the right guy. And I think a lot of people don't realize that it's so untrue. And this is why I like what we do, because we are very open-minded to everything. I mean, when we have a good prosecution, we talk about it. When we have a good case, we talk about it. But when we have evidence that's being thrown up there, thrown at the wall, and you're making no sense, people should be appalled by that. It is not like, you're going to have to show me a lot of evidence to throw somebody in jail for the rest of their life. You're going to have to show me some good hard evidence, and it's just, I don't think people take it as seriously as they should, or they are just, they look at it too personally too, where they're just like, oh, well, he looks shady. So, okay.
Yes.
Well, he may not speak or look or act like you or people you hang out with, but that doesn't mean they're guilty.
Exactly.
So they did the sentence right after. Well, I'll go back and see that because I thought she was just gonna yak on a bit about
Waiting
how they,
for her to get done
yeah,
talking.
and I still can't see anything on Kara. It was 2:00 they were supposed to go, right, Jamie?
Yeah, I Googled it, and all the like newspapers in that area were reporting that it was supposed to be at 2:00 today.
Yeah, okay. But no, as most of them, I feel most U.S. Jews look at the defendant as being guilty first and favor the prosecution. It's societal. Yeah, and that's why I say send Steve Gosney to every high school in the country and say, friends, this is how you're supposed to watch a defendant. And I know because I have to fight my biases when I go in as a layman. Because as a human person, you instantly judge a person on their looks, their behavior, how they carry themselves. But I do if I didn't do the quick list, I would have been doing 3 to 4 cases a year through the 12 to 16 years 12 years I think I figured out. I've been doing that. That's 40 cases would have been doing. So and I think our judges are really good if people are just saying, "Well, she looks like a hoe. She probably were guilty in the rape." They sit you down and tell you you have to put all your biases aside. I've sit with drug addicts who I even had one. I'm pretty damn sure took a bump in a break because she changed her demeanor. But you can't look at her and say, "Well, it's a drug addict. They're just going down the hole." It's you have to keep an open mind, and that's why we try to do this and talk about what we see and what we don't see. And we love when people in the chat see something else than we see because we could be biased also. But I think too many people, and especially because of the political system, and it's not just in the US, it's all over the Western world. People just jump in the trenches and can't be moved. And it flows into society. We get so echo chambery. We just sit and talk to the people we like and we won't listen to anyone else. And I think it's a big problem.
Mhm.
So I said that in Lorne and Crim's chat, and they said, "Well, I don't do crimes." Neither did Kyle Rittenhouse, and he spent a lot of time in a courtroom for someone who didn't do a crime.
Yep. And it'll happen again.
It happened today in some court. You have 52 to 3 states, according to your former president, and in one of those, someone was innocently convicted today. Maybe multiple courtrooms.
Mhm. We're so fixated on justice. We see victims and we're not looking at all of the evidence in a healthy way. You're just so blind to, well, we got to get this person justice. Yeah, but
At what
make
cost?
sure you have the right person.
Yeah, and you should have that attitude. You should rule by the country or your state you're at. But again, it's a lack of education, and you can see that we have a big problem right now because we made a big change in the school system, and it should help everything, and it just turned, as it always do, it fell off a cliff.
Mhm.
And what are they focusing on? They're focusing on all the non-essentials. Go back to the kindergarten cop. What did he say? Reading, writing, arithmetics, the 3 R's. That's the important stuff in school. How you self-identify or if you read the right books or whatever it's about, it doesn't matter. We need to get back to where we had a focus on basic skills. People people who think that going to college is going to make them $1 billion. No, because all people, too many people go to college. Go be a plumber. That'll make you $100 million if you're good at it.
Mm-hmm.
But being a gender studies major, there are 5 jobs in each state for those. But it's an easy course, so I'll take it and get 80,000 in debt. Society must go back, or we will see the fall of Rome.
It came down brick by brick.
Yeah.
And now people look back and go, "Wow, how did we get there? What happened? How does a place like this get destroyed?" And to them, it seems like a blink of the eye, but no, it was just over a long period of time. Bad leadership, bad policies, people not caring anymore. That's the fall.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I really think the last 15 years, 57 states. I'm sorry, it's because I read somewhere it's 50, so I just took the middle road. Justice is not sending someone who may have done it. No, justice is saying the state have to prove you did it. That's justice.
Sometimes I think if they don't, the jurors feel like if they don't get, okay, well, they obviously, a lot of them believe that the state got it right. So they're like, okay, cool. But also I think sometimes they think they have to get this person justice. And if they don't, then they're never going to find, like, oh, well, they're never going to find the person. You know what I mean? Like, in a way, I don't know.
Sal, I'm not a ray of sunshine today, but it's because I'm kind of angry. And I think someone should be angry sometimes, because we can all sit here and smile and be happy. And I know it gives me way more views when I make fun than when I try to talk about what I think is wrong with society. I'm not going to turn this into a civic education, but I just think a bit of what we law tubers or case tubers or whatever people want to call us has to do is ask people to just open your minds and maybe be a little less biased, because I know when a 6'5" black guy who's built like a house and has face tattoos sit in the courtroom, you might think, well, he clearly done it because he looks like a guy who would do it. But it could just as well be a 5-foot Hispanic guy who looked like an accountant.
Yeah.
Most crazy serial killers, they look quite normal.
Yes. And
Yeah, use your hands, job. It's a good way. Hey, Jessica, what's baking? Anger, today's baking.
Yes. We're bottling it up. We're bottling it up to sell for Jamie's Lash Fund.
Oof.
That's a big fund.
Bottled Baker anger.
Oof. I'm looking.
I have a tube.
Yeah.
And the anger is shooting out of it right now.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's put in a context where it seems like evidence. And that's the problem. You tired today. Did you stay up all night and play with MG? Oh, yes, you did.
Well, Jessica, we played a game. It was called what kind of trial can we cover? So
yeah, I seen that.
Yeah, we're gonna do a restream of the shart that was heard around the world.
The cum shot.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Moore got a not guilty because they gave them justifiable alternative to Emily said, yeah. And that's the weak point in this case is who should have done it if he didn't have done it. And that's what you miss. But in the Care Rinatala case, there was at least 2 good objectives provided by Rosemary. And I think that's why she got a lesser sentence.
I think that's a big problem too, is juries want to hear like, oh, well, if he didn't do it, then who did? And they don't
Yeah.
necessarily have to show any of that.
No,
You know?
because they don't have to pull Johnny in like they do in Matlock and said he's the guy.
Yeah, they don't got to do any of that. So that shouldn't even be on your radar. But I think that's a lot of people's problems too. It's like, well, if not him, then who else? Because people will ask that when when we talk about trials sometimes. Well, then who else would have done it? I don't know, but this guy is not it. That's the whole thing. It doesn't matter. That's their job to find out.
And I'll also say that last night Beryl helped out quite a bit. She got the overlays. Like you've got your overlay, we got our overlay.
Oh boy.
Yeah, she was there the whole time.
Kara,
I'm still tired.
Why I'm talking about Kara? It's because I'm panicking because we can't find her.
Yeah, I've been looking for it. I can't find it anywhere. That's why I've been so distracted, just looking for her. They're saying it's supposed to happen this afternoon, and it looks like they'll have it on WWLP 22.
I was gonna say you might have
Northampton, but I haven't been able to find anything on it.
No, I've been in there looking today because they had some other things I had to, but nothing. Yeah. If it shows up somewhere, we will cover it. Thank you all. They just found him guilty of first degree.
And they sentenced him to.
We'll see that in a bit.
Oh.
Because
I didn't know.
I found the sentencing video. Yeah, it's lovely people around here. It's because of the buttered biscuits. It makes people happy.
Buttered biscuits.
Play the everybody dies clip. I don't know what that is.
Oh, butters and biscuits.
Oh, everybody does. He probably meant the Glenn clip.
Oh. Law is supposed to be reasoned without passion. Yeah, but you can't put 12 people in a room together without passion.
Aunt always wants you to play the Glenn clip.
Yeah. Well, I'm a bit behind. Well, greedy. Someone is out sowing his oats. All the garbage we put in the court system is the one place where it might actually work. We talked about that once in a trial where we were doing a really long trial, so we really had time to sit and talk. And the judge said, I'm really, really happy that I have you here because we just look at the law, and the law is only black and white. So I'm not sure AI would be good in a courtroom because it would just take Black's Law Dictionary and run it through and say, well, this isn't maritime court. They're not guilty. And that'll be a problem. So I like the human aspect, but the problem if you have an uneducated populace, you will get an uneducated jury. And that's what I see as the biggest problem in all of this. It's that people don't know, and all people always write in every trial, how do I get out of jury duty?
Yep.
Yeah, and I pulled this up because I'm totally agreeing, Josie. It's watch the Rudolph trial on MG's channel at way too late at night, where when the lead investigator comes and said, "Did you look?" No one told me to look. You're the lead investigator. This lead investigator, did you look for it? Not till he told me. Why are we paying you the big bucks? Well, not the big bucks, but still. That's
Oh, that's nice. What Stray just put in there.
Well, I'm so far behind. So.
She's 4 away.
Well, I don't like to process anger. I like to lift heavy stuff when I'm angry. That's the problem. Yeah, if anyone could get the last 4 viewers to mow in the deep end, that would be fine.
Yeah, just go over there and
4 people. Get over there.
Yeah, well, She should have a little cushion. So
Well, yeah.
if we could get 19 more over there, so she have 15 to lose if YouTube is making shenanigans.
Get 50
I wonder
or
when
60.
Yeah. I wonder when the lawyers will have to start giving the jury stupids and start saying, I know we don't have to prove someone else did it, but I know we don't have to prove they're innocent, but I would just rather we went the other way. We started taking all of the politics out of school. I once made a joke. Not a joke, but I said if I won the big lottery, I would make a school in Denmark. You can have private schools. You can have the US too. I know that. They have to follow the curriculum, but not that's not set how you can do it. I would say I'll bring back school uniforms, last names for teachers, no mobile devices, and every time a kid acted up, the parents had to come pick them up for at least a day. If you did that, a lot of the trouble we see in the world would go away. And then I might have gone to teachers' college for 3 semesters. A lot of people are happy I didn't stay there. And what I saw, because you didn't have to participate, you just had to show up when you had to present your. I was going to be a math teacher, a history teacher, geography teacher. My math, I had one presentation a month. I could skip all the classes, no problem, and then just do my presentation. My history classes, I only did those for 1 semester before I dropped out. We didn't have anything, and my teacher asked if I could stay away because I didn't agree with her on history. And the last one was my geography. That was really cool. I liked it. I had an interest for it. We had a lot of fun. But again, you didn't have to get up there. When I came out there and gave them my papers and said I would like to enroll, looked at my papers and said, "What do you want to do here?" And thought, well, yeah, I know I'm dyslexic, but the grades I got in high school, I'm been training to write a lot, so I'm getting better. No, your grades are so high. Who do you want to have teaching your kids? The smartest or the stupidest people around?
Well, the stupid ones you can pay a lot less to do the same job.
Yeah, and you don't have to have a smart headmaster or a superintendent. You can just have another stupid person. Yeah, anger is the best pre-workout. I finished our Danish high school in July. I got my certificate. So yes, I've been on a school campus, and as I said, trained to. I went to teachers' college. So yeah, I've been to probably more school campuses than most people in the last 10 years. Yeah, but F your feels. F little Timmy. Stop having project babies. Do like the old-fashioned way. Get drunk and forget to put on a Jimmy hat. That's the best way to make kids. No, it was when I drew in the Schleswig-Holstein. They got real upset. Now, you wouldn't like me as a politician. Nobody did. I was too brash. Maybe that one. Well, you have the nice one over near you, but that's for the rich kids. My friends' kids go to a Muslim private school, and it's really, really good because they do it the old-fashioned way. They don't hit the kids, but still, yeah. Well, thank you for dropping by, and if I'm awake, I'll see you tonight at Shissy's,
No,
along with all the other people.
we'll be over on MG's later tonight. Tomorrow is whenever we start our streaming of that. So Friday for
Is
us.
he? No, he wasn't going to stream today, was he? I don't know.
MG, I think he's streaming today, but then he's taking time off. I think that's what he said, but I could be
Okay.
wrong. I know because he's got that where he's going to just be down for probably 2 weeks, I think.
Oh,
Where he's not. Did you find it?
no. I said, oh, for 2 weeks.
Yeah, something like that.
Sometimes you just need a little break. No,
Yes.
nothing. That's
I
weird.
know.
Is there anything on the news?
Well, I'm on the news station. They just keep having stuff for like a Springfield man wanted for child assault and another one.
My
updates. Nothing though.
my cousin's daughter used to teach German on that snob school. So what do we think sank his boat? The ring, the sheets, or the perceived lie about the top accident? All. I think the ring, the phone not moving, the who else could have done it, the strange 911 call, and his demeanor during the interview. That's my 5 points to why he got convicted. I told you, Jamie, when we saw him when we played that short edited version of the interview, said they're going to find him guilty.
This is funny.
Saw me talk politics. I do that sometimes.
Yep.
Oh, that's right. MG is skipping the Rudolph and doing the naughty judge tonight. The judge who made fun of people.
Want to see something pretty funny? It's like maybe it's not that funny, but I saw this. There we go. Does that route look familiar?
Is that from the Brooks case?
No, this is the Holyoke St. Patrick's.
No, yeah, that's where she wrote before she went to McDonald's over on the south side.
Yep.
Yeah. I still can't get how they found her guilty.
I can't either.
Well, the Royals don't go to it because there was all those initiation things. That wasn't good.
Yeah.
Yep. As Jamie says, if anyone sees anything about the sentencing, please let us know because we can't find it. Hey, Judo.
Yeah.
Why did I call it Judo? Thanks for sharing.
I'm just not finding anything on it.
They keep reporting that it's at 2:00, but no, there's live feeds of it.
But it's 2:10.
I know that WWLP 22 News. Here, I'll send you a link to it. That's their.
Yeah, I have it because I found that I was watching it earlier.
Did you find it on Twitter?
No, I found it on the YouTubes.
Yeah, they also have a Twitter feed. I put it up there in the private chat. They've updated it 7 minutes ago, but there's nothing on it about that currently. I've just been refreshing it, hoping they come up with something.
Yeah. Well, Murph, to be honest with you, I think you did it as well, but I don't think they proved you did it. Yeah, they said 2 p.m.
Yeah, I don't know, because it's just like Murph said. Why? I mean, I don't know. I'm somebody, I know that's not needed, but it's also why? No history of any type of aggression or violence or anything with any other ex or anything. And then he's not, it wasn't about money. He had more money than her. He owned pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Because their whole, I guess when they started saying their reasonings of like, oh, well, he wanted everything to himself. He wanted all the money to himself. He wanted it's like, okay. And then some normal guy who's never like been angry or aggressive with anybody just snaps and brutally. I mean, yeah. I know it happens, but it's just like, it's hard to, especially with the evidence that they had.
Yeah, that's my problem with it too.
I've been angry, but I've never crossed the line like that, I mean, I don't know.
No. And again, no history of violence, and all of a sudden he slaps her so hard she dies, and again never
Yeah,
act
just
out again. Yeah, I know
Either.
but there will always be lawsuits and stuff like that because there's money involved. And I don't know enough about that's civil stuff, and there will always be someone. But maybe his estate should try and claim back the 200,000 she removed from their joint account without saying what they used it for.
Mhm.
So we did have a verdict when you texted me. Thank you for texting me last night, and congratulations on your big stream last night. I rewatched it. It was a great stream
Was
with Title Boy. If you had marks but yeah, and again, slap someone in the face so they break their jaw, you will have red knuckles. But then they said, well, you don't have to have marks on the body. You can just use a weapon. Where's the weapon? Where's all the blood spatter? And again, it's probably him that did it, but I just can't figure out how he did it. I didn't like that guy, and there was some dispute about the fees he was getting because he was on a retainer and really didn't do anything. And then all of a sudden, he told them, "Well, I can put you on this TV show." It seemed like to me like he was kind of doing bad stuff, taking money and running away. So to me, it's he was a good witness, but then they should probably try and put him at the scene. Kara's sentence, we can't find anything online. I think everyone is looking to see if there's someone going live with it. But we can't find anything. Everyone's saying it will be at 2 o'clock and it's past 2. So we're waiting. Yeah, too much reasonable doubt, and that's my problem. Yeah, MLS really blew up yesterday, but it's pretty good stream.
it could still be at 2 o'clock. It's 2 o'clock Eastern right now when they're
Yeah,
central.
yeah, but still, Massachusetts, as we told you
Oh, you're
multiple
right,
times
damn
during
it.
the stream, they didn't move Boston.
Damn it. Keep thinking Wisconsin.
Who thinks about Wisconsin?
I don't know. Somebody does. Oh, she just left.
Oh, she
Great.
couldn't take the hatred. Came in late, missed a bunch of people. So as I see the chat now, I say hi. Hi, hi.
Hi, hi.
Check Discord messages. Well, it's not because I don't have enough tabs open. Let me go check my Discord as well. I got a Google Chrome update, and now my bookmarks are all weird. Stop. Yeah, it's the same. We have seen that they will sentence her, and I can't open that because it's region locked. But I know they will sentence her today.
Yeah.
But not
just trying to
when.
figure out where it is. Trying to catch it live.
Maybe I could. Because I can't open it, so can any of you open this one?
Open what? Put it in private chat. Yeah, I can open that.
Because it's region locked.
Yeah.
Blood spatter to invoke the arrival of flux. Yeah. It's running now. Where?
Well, send it to me if you know where it is.
Yeah.
It's running now. I'm not seeing it anywhere.
Searching for Care Rinatala within the last hour has no results.
Yeah.
Has it now? Google it, the box on the main page. Well,
let's see.
maybe we can do that. I can't do. Can you share it because it's region locked?
I'm pulling that up. Let me see. There we go. Copy. And let me pull that real quick. Paste. Go.
They're doing it.
We're sorry. Page you're looking for can't be found. The story or page or video. All right. I got this right there. Hold on.
I'm used to Chrome, so.
Yeah, we know the verdict's been reached. I've already got this. No, nothing's changed. Oh, here it is.
There should be a box on the front page.
Yep, I got it. And let me turn on mute and
yeah, share or remember to share audio. Now you muted yourself.
Give me a second. Present screen and
for us. It's not a happy time.
Thank you so much for finding that for us.
Thanks.
Us back. She didn't get to spend these years watching her daughter grow up. She didn't get to sing and dance at my wedding to the woman who has stood by me through all of this. She didn't get to see her niece turn into a beautiful young woman, turn into a teenager, date, graduate from high school, or even get married. She won't be there to laugh at me as I struggle with parenting my own tween daughter, Jaylee. And she won't be there for the hard times that lie before me. The times Sis and I relied on each other to help get others through, all because this amazing sister, daughter, mother, aunt, cousin, and friend was taken from us in the most horrific way. So now that we've finally gotten some resemblance of closure, we can begin to breathe again, and Sis can now be at peace. We can remember the side of Sis as we want to remember her, not the slandered version presented in the courtroom. We can try to put together the pieces of our shattered heart,
Slandered?
lives the way
This is the court feed, not me. It's causing
onto
this.
his state. It's hard to
Man. It's acting all funky.
It seems the Band-Aid, and it felt like it was a day once again. Pain in my mother's eyes every day. Wish on anyone. Inside myself, show, but it never. Thank you for keeping us strong. I love Mom and child.
Come on, feed.
There's got to be a lot of people tapping into it.
Yeah, sorry guys, she didn't do this.
Or in addition to
Sad for you, but
liquid.
Where do I? This is Your Honor. She.
no.
It's his internet that crapped out. Everyone's internet crapped out. Well, all by myself. Don't wanna be all by myself anymore. That was a quick Irish goodbye from everyone. My chat, my streams are going so great right now, and why don't I find this anywhere that's not region locked? No, it's not my internet because my internet is fine. I can see, and here's Jamie back.
I'm getting sick of this.
I should put in my headset so we don't get an echo. I think he restarted his internet or something.
Yeah.
My preferred sentence would be time served, but I think she's gonna get 10 years or something.
Don't. No.
I think I didn't say I think she should get. I
Doesn't
said
deserve
I
it.
think.
I think
Well,
she would.
Farrell, I asked you if you would co-host for me on Sunday, so Jamie could get a day off if she needs one. She can be here too, but I can't draw on Jamie every time.
Whatever. I'll say that and then I get bored. Like I was
Yeah.
bored today. I was like doing normal things. I was like, "Aw, sad." I'm not-
She did close to 7 years, I think.
Yeah, I think that's what they said. Rosemary said 7 years.
Yeah. Is it StreamYard? No, it's Shizzy's internet.
Sorry about that. Yeah, no, it's not my internet. It's the damn stream. It is still doing it. Let me get it pulled back up. It's acting funky as all get out. I'm just trying to get it to work right, and it's not. It's gone completely screwy.
Yeah, it ruins. It goes right and messes with your mic as well.
Dave said something. You might
Yeah,
want.
as long as you give me 20 minutes, I'll try to set it up a stream for you on my other channel and send you a link. Yeah, thank you, Dave. If we can't get it up and running. Well, maybe if we ask her nicely, Jamie could take, because it's Sunday and she's probably watching sports ball.
So is it crapping my audio out still, or is
I'm
it
an
just
RN.
theirs?
My youngest son, Justin, is a paramedic and a
That
firefighter.
sounds good now. Can you send Dave a link to it?
Anne was taken from our lives and she did not deserve. Family has been left a trail of wreckage.
Why don't they just use their YouTube
I
channel?
believe
Because
Ms.
their
Rintala
own.
needs to spend as much time in
It's
prison.
not
doesn't
on
work.
YouTube.
No amount
No, I
of
said, why
time
don't they
will
use
bring
it?
back Anne. But knowing the person accountable for her actions is all I can for allowing Anna.
We spoke too soon. Come on.
Thank you. Anne
I mean, I've
Ariana
got it lowered
could not
down.
be here today, but again, our witness advocate Jennifer Reed is prepared.
Okay, the feed have some glitches. Vic has it on her own.
Who does?
I'll never forget that rainy March day. I was at the mall getting my nails
Wicked.
done for an upcoming college event. I came home with the family sitting and telling me what had happened.
Well, it's annoying. Come on.
It had forever changed in a matter of minutes. After my mind scrambled to try and understand what could have happened to her and why. I was supposed to go
Why
over her
can't you
house
find
the
a
following week to
call
color
feed?
Easter eggs with Brianna, and instead I did them again. The actions of the defendant have impacted my life in ways that I often can't find words for. The defendant's decision to take the life of a human being with no regard for the effects that it may have on others is imaginable. Anne's life was taken so that another life would be spared, and it would never sit well or make sense with my family. It's been 13 years since I've heard my cousin's voice, been able to make her laugh, or watch a baseball game together. Reliving this nightmare has been nothing but short of unreal and exhausts every soul in my family through and through. Birthdays and holidays still sting, even after all these years. Anne can't walk into any event singing or dancing and make everyone laugh.
Yeah, it's, well,
It's not
there
me
would be
causing
appeals.
it.
Traveling
It's the feed.
No, it's the feed that's choppy.
her in her home. Anne went from cancer, or be there to watch her niece go to college. Bigger than this, Brianna lost, never get to know the love of a woman who wanted to create an amazing life for her. It's a giving hearts, but we have struggled to be able to forgive in this situation, considering the lack of life. Anne was only 37
of her life to live. I keep thinking that when this ends, that brought her, but she can't. More than one life was lost.
Yeah, I paused it for a second.
But the defendant will continue to see the light of day. Anne was a life-loving, laughing, happy person who should be here today, saving lives at work like she used to, and singing karaoke in her spare time.
Ian,
Anne, for
welcome.
Welcome.
Great, Ian.
although we struggle to forgive pain and live the rest of our lives in peace, knowing justice was served. I hope my cousin's smile and outgoing personality lives in everyone's head, including the defendants, every day for the rest of our lives, because I know that she ultimately would want to be remembered as happy and will live in our hearts forever.
Then the police should have done their job and found the real killer.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. But
Here today, but it was her choice to have her statement read on her behalf. Your Honor, the last impact statement comes from Anne's uncle, Pascal Martin, who, like her father, passed away after the third trial. But these are the remarks he delivered. Anne was today as returned from high school and her first.
Really sorry, folks.
She
It's
was
not
also
me
a flower
causing
girl
this.
at my wedding. As Anna grew up and received her first car, I would work on it, installing a radio or tuning it up. As she moved on and needed work done in her home, I would gladly do.
Exactly.
I agree, Pop.
When Anne was a small child, she wanted.
she's ridiculous.
She became.
Mm.
She loved being out there as a paramedic and rendering assistance where she was called to. Anna was could melt away whatever problems you were having. She could sense unhappiness in a person and would find a way to help you make light of your problems. She was an extremely compassionate and kind person. If I didn't see her on a holiday or a birthday, she would. Whenever she worked a shift in the town, and would either before or always the life of a family party, at weddings or showers, of Mambo Italiano, a song I can no longer hear on the radio or on TV. And it would come to my home. Everything changed with the phone call I received from Anne's father in the early evening hours of March 29th, 2010. All I could hear was that Anne had died. The ride to Anne's parents is approximately 5 minutes from my home, but that evening it seemed to have taken me hours to get there. Thinking all along the way that this is just a horrible lie. The hurt and disappointment in my heart has been overwhelming since that phone call and all the events that have followed. There isn't a day that goes by that I do not think of Anne. I miss her smile, her willingness to help. She was a bright light which has been extinct. My life world is a lesser place. Gone from this world is a mother, daughter, friend. Anger has created a great emptiness. The last with Anne was March 6, 2010, when she texted me, and this day since then has been hard for me. 4th of July is also great. When I'm in my yard and I have to divert my gate as I through it after prepare the cookout was about to take place. Anne's motto, more like a creed, was live. That is who I've been every day in one form or another. I will miss her every day of my life. It is my hope as the defendant comes to terms with what done and all the people she still needs to be judged. In our memorandum, our sentencing outlined, well, first I've acknowledged in this case suggest a recommended of 8 to 12 years in state prison, and the defendant has approximately 7.5 years of credit. But we believe there are 3 aggravating factors, 3 reasons that would justify this court.
So they're recommending 8 to 12.
Advisory guidelines.
No, they want more.
Oh.
And the motivation for this crime.
You.
Voluntary.
It pisses me off.
Conduct. It can be.
She has custody of their daughter.
A bar brawl where someone falls.
Ghostry.
Evidence in this case demonstrates that this is not
you had no
momentary or fleeting or simply reckless act. The defendant manually strangled her wife with her bare hands for 3 to 4 minutes,
not proved.
Gradually draining the blood flow and the oxygen to her brain, causing her death.
Not proven.
Although the jury's verdict suggests that this was committed in the heat of passion, this still was not an impulsive, split-second action that
the jury decided another totally new verdict from
it's also worth
all the years.
That
so.
Anne-Marie occurred within a context of domestic, intimate partner violence.
The jury was garbage.
This occurred in a relationship where violence had been prevalent for years.
If I was the judge, I would just.
Where?
Unfortunately shows violence is significantly increased. The risk of it.
It never. What are you talking about?
And the trial evidence indicated that this was what may have spurred between Anne-Marie and the. As you recall, the evidence shows that the night before.
There is not any evidence showing that.
He hated the relationship.
No,
they had,
there never was.
She intended to leave the relationship. The defendant, in her statement to the police, acknowledged that this argument had boiled over from the night before.
No evidence.
Still occurring on the morning of
no
death.
Evidence.
I hate it when they lie during the trial, when they hate and want a higher sentence.
All of which.
Yeah, and if I was the judge, I would be saying, no, she served her time. You guys couldn't prove your point, and this is just a rhyme.
But Chris Mullen has it right. They just want to sneak in a murder conviction in the back door.
Yeah.
Important to her. In addition to Anne dying from manual strangulation, the evidence also indicates that she sustained several significant lacerations to her head. While she was still alive, her heart was still beating, as Dr. Richmond indicated, based upon the swelling and the subdural hemorrhaging.
Yeah, it was her granddad who gave the statement at the third trial.
Given the motivation and the context for Anne's killing and the prolonged
Facts not in evidence
suggests and justifies an upward departure from the guidelines.
Yeah.
The second factor would be the defendant's efforts to mislead the investigation in this case. The evidence indicated that as soon as the defendant had rendered her wife lifeless, she shifted into concealment and self mode. The evidence indicates attempted scene.
Your evidence didn't.
No.
Jack.
Break-in, and then she left the home with her daughter in tow, driving.
Yeah, he wants
facts, not evidence.
He wants a conviction, not
cleaning rags,
backed by the jury.
In the rear of her return.
Yeah.
Now these post-action.
We want to sneak in the life sentence.
Still a defendant who wants the heat.
So is the judge making the decision on this, or is the jury?
Yeah, the judge.
Concealment mode She attempted to deflect and avoid blame for her wife's killing. This provides a window.
You didn't show anything. Stop it. Oh God.
To her amenability to rehabilitation or lack thereof.
What?
And the degree to which she prioritized self-preservation over everything and everyone else. And
Makes me cry.
which we believe justifies an upward departure from the sentencing guidelines is the undeniable fact that at the moment the defendant
It's a very deniable fact.
death, her daughter was
You
in
couldn't
the home.
prove anything.
Her daughter was 2.5 years old at the time. There is no evidence, no concrete evidence to demonstrate that the daughter actually observed any acts of violence being perpetrated.
But then you want an upward sentence because the daughter was in the house, even though she didn't see it.
Home that evening, she claims that her daughter was at the edge of the basement stairs, looking down the stairs, and saw enough to know that her mommy was in the basement.
How do you
She
know?
was then scooped up,
Facts, not in evidence.
None of this is something you
and
know.
an interview with her or an attempted interview with
Well,
her. that
Rosemary
night, there was
has
no additional
an opinion.
information.
I have the right to tell what she
No.
thinks as well.
I love Rosemary.
Yeah.
We believe that these
Love her.
aggravating
Rosemary-
factors justify an
Rosemary,
upward
give it to
departure
him.
to 15.
She's
to
gonna give
17
him
years
hell.
in state prison. But I do want
15 to
address something
17.
that I would rather not have to address, but it's already been stated in court.
They just
that
want to
our
give her 10 more
recommendation today
years.
Is a deviation from what we may or may not have discussed with the defense before trial during plea negotiations. Without confirming or denying precisely what those negotiations may have consisted of, I'd like to say that any plea discussions that may have occurred simply have no bearing whatsoever on what this court determines is an appropriate sentence for.
So
the defendant
they
who opted
offered
to
her a
go to
plea
trial
deal
and
with
now
time
stands
served, and now they
convicted
want to
of
bump it up.
voluntary manslaughter.
Yep.
I've cited a number of cases from other jurisdictions which stand for the proposition that pre-trial plea negotiations have no relevance whatsoever to post-trial sentencing.
This is
The defense may instead argue that the Commonwealth is attempting
so they
to
wanted
punish
to
the defendant
plea
for
her out
exercising
with
her
a time
constitutional
served
right
just to land
to
it
go to
because they
trial.
were afraid they
Obviously,
couldn't win
there's
it, and now
credit.
they want her getting
Instead,
15 to
Commonwealth's
17.
position is that the
Yep.
defendant can no longer avail
I would
herself
love. Oh,
to
they're
certain mitigating factors that typically
they're
would flow to
disgusting.
a defendant
Yep.
who admits her guilt and pleads guilty prior to trial.
She did not.
Those benefits to the
She-
public, to the Commonwealth, to the
Yeah,
victims
she should have
include
had a lesser
public
sentence if she
admission
did.
of guilt and acceptance of responsibility.
I
Some
can't tell this.
showing
Because
I
she
can read
did
this,
not.
Judge.
She didn't. She didn't do this, and they know she didn't do this.
Sparing the victim's family yet another grueling trial.
More
No,
than that's what it
Avoidance
sounds
of
like.
lengthy
We don't know that, but
post-conviction litigation.
listen back to what
In
he said.
addition, in this case, had the defendant
They
tendered
had
a
given her
plea
an offer
before
because they
trial,
weren't sure they could
it
land the
would have been
conviction.
expected and required that she proffer some factual basis for justifying her conviction and her guilt, perhaps shedding some light for the victim's family of what exactly transpired on March 29th, 2010. What
Unless she
led
wasn't
to
there. You
Anne
didn't
Marie
know.
Cochran Rintala's death. We've done our best to piece it together through the evidence that was left behind.
Yeah, that was
See,
Family may
reasonable
never
doubt
know
right there.
exactly what
Did our
Anne Marie's
best.
last moments on earth consisted of. These factors that I've outlined often
Garbage.
motivate the Commonwealth to extend a
Don't have it.
pretrial
I don't
plea
know.
offer that substantially discounts what a defendant may otherwise deserve. But once that offer's declined,
Yeah, you play the lottery
any and all
when you don't
mitigating
accept the
benefits
plea.
to the defendant expire, and the Commonwealth is fully entitled to seek whatever.
But if you
sentence
didn't do it,
feels
why
is
would you accept a
appropriate after
plea?
trial, and
That's
that is
the
what we have
that's
done
the crappy
in this
part
case.
about it.
Yeah, she needs a bigger sentence
since
because we
receiving
did
the
give her an offer, but she
sentence
didn't please with that, so now she
memorandum
needs
yesterday evening,
more.
There are some additional points which we would like to address and respond to. Her primary argument, as far as we can tell, for avoiding further incarceration is her role as caretaker to her daughter and the emotional harm that her daughter would sustain if her mother were returned to prison. In addition to filing a caretaker motion under General Laws, Chapter 279, Section 6B, she references her daughter no less than 30 times in her sentencing memorandum.
Oh, she cares about her daughter.
Let me be perfectly
Better
clear
lock
with
her up.
this. The Commonwealth is not trying to minimize the harm
I'm happy we found
and the trauma
this.
that this
I
crime
hate this guy more
and the
now.
subsequent legal
Yeah.
proceedings have caused so many people, including but not limited to the defendant's daughter. But I'd like to be equally clear about this. The one person responsible for this harm and trauma is the defendant herself. The only reason her daughter has only one mother in her life,
Freaking
a mother
ridiculous.
who's been in and out of incarceration for nearly her entire life, is because of the defendant's decision to kill her other mother. A
No.
mother
Of course.
that the
And
defendant
if they offered her
acknowledged
time
as
served and she
police
didn't
and
take
in
it,
person
that should be an
to
indication that
who
she
was a
wasn't
loving,
guilty,
caring, and
or
excellent
believe she
mother
wasn't
to
guilty.
their 2.5-year-old daughter. The
She was
defendant's
never
daughter
given a
is,
chance.
in fact, a victim in this case. But she's not a victim because of the defendant's incarceration.
Yes,
Well,
it
unless
is.
you like it.
She's a victim of intimate partner violence and domestic homicide. She's a victim because the defendant ended her other mother's life inside the home they all shared together. The defendant deprived her
I'll
daughter
cover your
of a
case.
lifetime of love, guidance, and nourishment from her mother, Anne. A mother that Brianna refers to in her letter
Yeah.
simply as Anne Cochran. And
That's her name.
heartbreakingly indicates that she has no memory of her. She has no memory of Anne because the defendant killed her before her daughter could form any core memories of her. And then the defendant apparently failed to keep
My
Anne's
opinion,
memory
too.
alive
Oh, it's her
and
fault.
cut off
She
any and
didn't
all
keep her
contact
memory
with Anne's
alive.
family, including Anne's parents, who are her grandparents. It
Judge, I have to
wasn't-
object at this point.
Yeah.
If you're saying my client cut off any and all communication, that's just simply not true.
Well, I'll let you respond, but I'm
Well,
going to hear the Commonwealth out.
That's right, Rosemary. Finally. Like,
So
this is
at
getting
this point, the
stupid.
Commonwealth is
God, I love
disturbed by the defendant's audacity to cite the very hurt and chaos that she herself
Well,
caused
everything can
as
be overturned on
justification
appeal,
for
but
avoiding further prison
if she
time.
gets away with
Quite simply, this
time
court
served
should
or a
reject the
shorter
defendant's
sentence
use of
in
her
prison, she
daughter's
probably wouldn't
legitimate
appeal it
suffering
again.
as a shield against
Yeah.
further incarceration. Now, with respect specifically to the defendant's caretaker motion,
Yeah,
Commonwealth does not
Rosemary
dispute that
should argue that,
since 2021, it appears the defendant has been
that,
the
the
primary
state
caretaker
prolonged,
for her daughter as they continue
the
to
process.
live with the defendant's parents in Narragansett, Rhode Island. Notably, however, for the 10
Rosemary
years
looks like she's
prior to
just
that,
about ready to
the
go
defendant
off
did
on
not
this
fill
guy.
that role.
I want it.
Grocery,
During that time, she was either held on
I'll
bail,
hide it to
living in
later.
Western Massachusetts under GPS monitoring, or in state prison. During that time,
Yes,
others
that's
raised
what
and
he
cared
said.
for her daughter. To this
Yeah,
day,
but
the
I'm
defendant
gonna
appears
answer
to
because I
enjoy
can't
a broad
do the
network of
the
support
trial
from friends,
redo
family, and
when he's
neighbors,
talking and
many of
listening
whom
at the
have
same
submitted
time. So
letters of
it must
support
wait.
in connection with today's proceeding. Also, the Commonwealth would note that the defendant's daughter is 16 and a half and will reach legal adulthood in a year and a half. The defendant asks this court to take years off of an appropriate sentence for her in order for her to care for her daughter for the next year and a half, even though the people who've raised her for the past 10 years, whose home she lives in, remain available to provide that care during any period of incarceration. The caretaker statute cited by the defense calls for this court to make written findings regarding the defendant's status as a primary caretaker and alternatives to incarceration. The Commonwealth maintains that these findings should reflect that the defendant's role as caretaker does not overcome the legitimate and compelling need for additional period of incarceration in this case. Also, in reading the defense memorandum, it completely, in our view, fails to acknowledge the significant evidence of the tumultuous, hostile, and violent nature of the relationship between the defendant and Anne Marie.
What
Few
are you?
examples include on page
Yeah,
6
I know.
the statement that there was no evidence of any domestic violence in their relationship. On page 12, no evidence of physical violence between Kara and Anne prior to Anne's death. Again, on page 12, there is simply no evidence that it was the culmination of a history of domestic violence. And perhaps most insultingly, she refers to Anne Marie being fatally strangled inside the basement as a singular event that was a dramatic aberration from the defendant's remarkable life of service, as if it were a blemish on her resume. The
What?
jury's verdict indicates to the contrary, indicates they
I know.
concluded that this killing occurred in the heat of passion, which is consistent with the evidence of lengthy domestic violence and intimate partner violence in this relationship. This finding was also amply supported by the evidence that the jury heard in this case, including the defendant during her interview with Detective
Even
Lieutenant
the other
Robert
attorney's
Whitney,
about to get up and
admitting
go off
that
on
their
this guy.
arguments would get physical. In her own words, they'd get out of control. And that
Yeah,
both of
because
them
Anne
were
was
physical
violent.
toward one another. She also
Shows that
confirmed
Anne
that
was
the
the
argument
aggressor.
in
Anne was the
September of
violent one,
2018 that led to her
and that
arrest
she had
was physical
a couple of
and
side
caused
pieces.
a red mark on her neck. During the 2009
Yes,
restraining
Mimsy,
order
that's
hearing
exactly
that we
what
heard
they're
audio
doing.
excerpts from, the defendant stated to Judge Payne that there were
Yeah,
verbal
they didn't
and
get the
bodily
conviction,
threats
so now they
being
want
made
the
inside
punishment.
home, that their home was highly volatile, and we can reasonably assume that the defendant was being truthful when the court, when she made these statements, having been sworn under oath. In addition to physical violence, there was clear evidence of other forms of intimate partner violence, of
You're gonna make
controlling and
McParkinson
coercive
go
and
off with
threatening
that
behavior
growling.
between them that led to
Where?
constant fights and battles. To suggest
Where
that
was
this
all this?
homicide was anything but
They
There's a
had
phone
none
call
of this
of
where-
years
evidence.
of intimate
And she
partner
should,
violence,
Rosemary's
they
going to go off
completely
on this.
belies
There
the
was
evidence.
none of this presented in this case.
Hopefully she will
Next,
address all of
I'd like
this
to
shit.
briefly address
Yeah.
what the Commonwealth perceives as a complete lack of acceptance of the verdict and a minimization of the crime. In the defendant's memorandum, only one reference is made to the jury's verdict 2 weeks ago today, finding her guilty. The defendant states that they accept the jury's verdict at face value, end quote. On page 13, the defendant refers to, quote, the person who killed Anne, as if it were anyone other than her.
It-
The jury's verdict determined that the defendant is the person and the only person who killed Anne. Her memo makes clear that she still does not accept that fact. She minimizes the nature of the crime for which she stands convicted, referring to the killing of Anne and the taking of human life as a, quote, singular event. She asks this court to end, quote, this tragic episode, meaning her tragic episode. An apparent reference to the supposed plight that she has been under for 13 years.
Yeah, because she didn't
She's
do
not
it.
the victim here.
She's the victim.
She is not the victim here. She's the
Yes, she
perpetrator.
is.
She's the entire reason anyone in this family, in either family, has suffered for 13 years.
No, it's your
No.
police
The
officer's
purpose of
fault.
this court's
Yeah.
ultimate sentence is
Your
to
law
ensure that
enforcement.
she's properly held accountable for her actions, her decision to kill Anne
I'm
Marie.
so annoyed I can't pause it.
Lastly,
I
the
wish I
defendant
could.
cites as
It
a
would-
supposedly
it'll skip
mitigating
if I do.
circumstance her
Yeah, I know,
exemplary
but
life devoted
I want
to
to yell
helping
so
others.
much.
And I will simply note that the fact of the matter is, she ended the life of someone equally as devoted.
Zachariah Anderson
and
says this
skilled
all the
at
time.
rendering
I
aid
didn't
to
do it.
others, to helping others in their worst moments of need. So whatever the defendant may have contributed to the world during her career, she snuffed out when she strangled Anne to death.
You didn't prove
In
jack.
closing, Your Honor, the
Here
Commonwealth's
is-
sentencing
go to the
recommendation
courtroom.
stands on its own. We've taken into account the nature and the circumstances of this offense. We've considered the advisory sentencing guidelines. We've taken into account the input from Anne's family and friends. And I want to be very clear about this. Although it's true that
I can pause it. Say it, Baker.
If your case is so weak, you need 4 freaking trials to get a conviction.
And you don't even
You,
get the right conviction. Just that.
you are the one who kept the family in pain for 16 years. If you hold this against a lady who is convicted, that she is the reason the family haven't had justice in 16 years, you should be put on a very sharp implement, put over a fire and rotated slowly until you smell like burnt pork. This guy is so freaking full of everything that comes out of a bull. Everything he says that should enhance her her sentencing is the state's fault. And her not accepting her guilt, yeah, you can say, well, the jury assigns the guilt. They do. But she can still claim to be innocent. It's not something you can hold against her. I hate it when they say, well, they didn't accept it. Zachariah Anderson is rotting in prison now because a weak-ass judge fell for the same shenanigans.
Yep.
This judge, I hope he's not thinking about which the chocolate chip cookies he's going to order. And he's paying attention. And I really hope the defense is going to kick his butt all over the place. This is a fairy tale better than anyone the great Hans Christian Andersen ever wrote. This guy is lying so fast that even my stupid mouth can't keep up. And stop texting me in the middle of my rant. I really, really, really hate they don't have to stick to any facts. In Denmark, if the state had prolonged the case for so long, it would benefit the defendant. If you.
Thank you. I couldn't say it better.
Yeah.
But Anne's family has certainly made their position known to us. I want to be clear that they have not dictated the Commonwealth's sentencing recommendation. This is not the case of Cochran versus Rintala. This is the case of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts against Care Rinatala. And in that case, the Commonwealth maintains that a sentence of 15 to 17 years is appropriate, and we would ask you to impose that. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
If he doesn't see through this
Thank
bullshit.
you.
Just a moment, if I could have the record and guidelines.
Hopefully Rosemary goes over and smacks him
You know
upside
what?
the head.
Just because
I
a
would
jury
love to see
makes
that.
it so doesn't
Okay, I'm
mean
sorry. Go ahead.
right.
Thank you, Anne. First, although the Commonwealth hasn't recognized Brianna Rintala as a victim, didn't contact her, didn't talk to her, didn't ask.
Oh, God. I
Lots of
didn't do that.
letters every single week for 5 years. And I remember she
can you
would
go
mail
back? That's
cards
the
with
daughter.
special notes in them every week and made sure I received
I don't
them.
know what happened.
I loved them. On my birthday and special holidays, my mom
That's
would
the
wrap
daughter.
and send gifts to the house and would call so I could open my gifts with her so it would feel like we were together again. The
You might
next
wanna
time my
drop
mom
that.
was released from prison, she was
She is a
finally
minor
allowed
still.
to live with me and my grandparents in Rhode Island. This
Will
wasn't
you be able
very
to hear it?
important to me. I was able
can
to
hear it.
live with my mom for the first time since I had been a little kid. We began spending every single day together. She made clear that spending as much time as possible with me was the most important thing to her. She drove me to school and picked me up every single day. I was a freshman in high school when my mom came home. After she came home, I made the honor roll for the first time, and I have done better in school since I have had my mom with me. Also, since my mom came home, I made the varsity volleyball team and the track team. My mom has really supported me and given confidence to do that. When I was in school, my mom got a delivering job for school for another school district. I know she did that so she was only working when I was in school. That way we could spend weekends and school vacations together. Once she took me camping on Cape Cod, and another time she took me to Block Island. During our first summer together, we both volunteered at our church summer camp together. And this past summer, I got a job as a busser.
Here we go.
What?
Dave's sent.
Oh, Dave got
But
it.
We're gonna get to hear.
But is
Get
it?
to hear it.
Is it?
Okay, you ready?
Thank you.
Is it all the way up?
First,
All the way up?
the Commonwealth hasn't recognized Brianna Rintala as a victim, didn't contact her, didn't talk to her, didn't ask her for her opinion. She is
Fine.
in fact a
Thank
victim
you.
of the case, and she would like
Yeah.
to make a victim impact statement, Judge. So if I could bring her up to make that statement.
Okay,
Can she sit? Would it be okay?
sure.
She sat.
I'm glad he wasn't a jerk like Schrader and said nope.
Thank you, MLS. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dave.
Hi. I am
Thanks,
Care
David.
Rinatala's daughter. I am 16 years old and was adopted by her and Ann Cochran when I was a baby.
Oh, she's 16
I
now.
am
Wow.
asking you to release my mom immediately so we can be together. I
No.
need my mom. This case started when I was very young. I do not remember my mother, Ann, at all. The only mother I have ever remembered is Kara. I remember the first time she was taken away. I will never forget it and believe it is something a child should never have to go through. As a young child, I didn't fully understand what had happened, but when my grandma Sandy explained that my mom was in jail, I started to cry and my heart broke. I went through days and nights crying and missing my mom. To this day, every time I am separated and is away from my mom, I feel the same heartbreak all over again. When my mom was taken away from me, I began living with my grandparents in Narragansett, Rhode Island, where I still live today. My mom and grandparents did whatever they could to let me spend time together with my mom. My grandparents brought me to see my mom in jail. Also, she called me on the phone all of the time and sent me lots of letters. After my mom's second trial, she was released from jail and she had to live in Massachusetts. She was not allowed to live with me and my grandparents in Rhode Island, so my grandparents brought me to visit her every weekend during school vacations. I knew I still needed to see her and would have been very upset if I did not get to visit her every weekend. After my mom's third trial, she was taken away from me again for 5 years. Again, this broke my heart and caused the same painful feelings that I had when she was first taken away. But again, just like the first time, my grandparents still drove me down to Massachusetts to visit her in prison every weekend and on school vacations. My mom wrote me lots of letters every single week for 5 years, and I remember she would mail cards with special notes in them every week and made sure I received them. I loved them. On my birthday and special holidays, my mom would wrap and send gifts to the house and would call so I could open my gifts with her so it would feel like we were together again. The next time my mom was released from prison, she was finally allowed to live with me and my grandparents in Rhode Island. This wasn't very important to me. I was able to live with my mom for the first time since it had been a little kid. We began spending every single day together. She made clear that spending as much time as possible with me was the most important thing to her. She drove me to school and picked me up every single day. I was a freshman in high school when my mom came home. After she came home, I made the honor roll for the first time, and I have done better in school since I've had my mom with me. Also, since my mom came home, I made the varsity volleyball team and the track team. My mom has really supported me and given confidence to do that. When I was in school, my mom got a delivering job for school for another school district. I know she did that so she was only working when I was in school. That way we could spend weekends and school vacations together. Once she took me camping on Cape Cod, and another time she took me to Block Island. During our first summer together, we both volunteered at our church summer camp together. And this past summer, I got a job as a busser at a local restaurant. She drove me from that job every day. At the same time my mom has been raising me, she has been helping me with my grandparents and to get along with them. They are getting old. They are both 80 now, and I am really scared if my mom is taken away again. It will be really hard for all of us again. On October 5th, 2023, my mom was taken away from me one more time. Just like before, this broke my heart all over again. Every time she is taken away from me, no, it's fine. Every time she is taken away from me, it feels like a piece of me is taken away from me as well. I want this pain to be over, and I want my mom back for good. This case took my mom from me when I was about 4 years old, and it has been a part of my life for 12 of the 16 years I've been alive. But it has not stopped my mom from caring and providing for me, and it has not stopped me from loving my mom. My mom, Kara, will always be the mom that I have known, that will forever take care of me, and that I will always love. Keeping my mom away from me has made my life very hard and caused me a lot of pain because the person who loves me the most in the world has not been able to be with me. She has been taken away from me for the majority of my life, and in the short time my mom and I have been able to live together, we have had an unbreakable bond. Not being able to live with her breaks my heart. I cannot live without my mom, and I need her. Having my mom back home means the world to me, and I am asking you to release my mom right away and let her live with me for good. Thank you.
Thank you.
My God. Thank you.
Well,
Your Honor, I had several conversations with Brianna about how disappointed she was that the Commonwealth never even reached out to her to ask her what she thought. Everybody is talking about her. There's victim impact statements that mention her, and she was completely disappointed that she was never even consulted before the Commonwealth made any recommendations in this case. She wanted to be heard. She did submit a written victim impact statement. We didn't expect her to want to read that, but this morning she told me that it was very important for her to have her voice heard because she feels like the Commonwealth hasn't even acknowledged that she's a victim here. And she's not a victim of anything other than the circumstances here, Judge. So I thank you for the opportunity to have her voice heard because it meant a lot to her. So I appreciate that. Now, with respect to the sentencing recommendation here, Judge, we're recommending time served. The Commonwealth's recommendation of 15 to 18 years is literally more than double what they recommended in a pre-trial offer. Commonwealth says ignore the pre-trial offer. I want the court to know at the time they made that offer, she was facing first-degree murder and the potential sentence of life without the possibility of parole. They made a recommendation of 7.5 years, or 7 years. I think it was 5.5 months, which was the time in at that point, Judge. And my suggestion is that it certainly appears to us that they have punished Care Rinatala for exercising her constitutional rights to go to trial. If they were willing to recommend 7.5 years or 7 years time served prior to trial, there's nothing that changed other than the jury's verdict isn't first degree anymore because the evidence that they used to get the first degree murder in the third trial was thrown out by the SJC, and now it's voluntary manslaughter. So I would suggest, Judge, the Commonwealth's claim that it's inappropriate for us to advocate and inappropriate for us to argue that they are actually punishing Ms. Rintala for exercising her right to trial is exactly what happened here, Judge. There's no explanation. They're taking a guideline sentence of 8 to 12 years, and they're doubling it because of these reasons. They say the violent nature of the offense. Every murder is violent. There's nothing specifically special about this. And then they say that her efforts to mislead the investigation. Typically, when you're talking about efforts to mislead the investigation, you're talking about committing perjury. You're talking about witness intimidation. In this case, her efforts to mislead the investigation, she gave 2 statements. She cooperated with them. She answered all of their questions. She gave them her phone. She gave them access to her house. She gave them access to Brianna. She was doing everything in her power to try to cooperate with them, Judge. And they're using it against her and saying somehow she was trying to mislead the investigation. And then in terms of their claim that this was intimate partner violence, Judge, you heard the same evidence that we heard. Time and time again, they had problems in their relationship. We're not going to say they didn't. But this isn't a situation where this was a result of a controlling relationship or intimate partner. In fact, it was the exact opposite. Every single time Cara asked for help, and she did that by calling 911. She did that by going before a judge. Every time she asked for help, she didn't control what happened with Anne-Marie Rintala in this case. In fact, she asked the judge to ask her to leave. In intimate partner relationship problems, typically what happens is that the abuser isolates and controls what happens with the victim in this case. It's the exact opposite. She didn't want to have Anne-Marie Rintala in the house. She wanted her to move out. She asked the judge to help her find a way to have Anne-Marie Rintala move out. So the idea that the Commonwealth now stands here and says that she was the one who was controlling, she did what she wanted, Judge. She had relationships with whoever she wanted to have relationships with in this case. And my client did nothing, absolutely nothing, to control her. And in terms of whether or not this was done for the purposes of Brianna, every single solitary time anyone asked Cara about Brianna and about Anne-Marie's relationship with her, she said the same thing. Anne-Marie is a wonderful mother. She never said a bad word about the relationship Anne ever had. And she's the only one who didn't ask for sole custody. She said that we should have joint custody. She never even asked in this case for anything. So for the Commonwealth to make those arguments, Judge, I just think they're twisting the evidence in this case. They're claiming that the jury decided this issue on heat of passion. There's absolutely no evidence to that effect at all. That's pure speculation on their part. They're claiming that this was an act of intimate partner violence. Again, speculation, Judge. There's no evidence to that. We don't know why the jury decided what they did. We have no idea why they decided what they did. But neither does the Commonwealth. They don't know any more than we know, other than the jury came back with a verdict of guilty on a voluntary manslaughter. I think it's outrageous in this case that the Commonwealth says that this intimate partner violence is attributed to the perpetrator's perceived loss of control. It has nothing to do with loss of control, Judge, in this case. They're trying to fit a round peg in a square hole at this point, Judge. And what they're doing is outrageous. They're saying that in this case, the interference that the killing was the product of Anne's express intent to leave their relationship. They had already left, Judge. They had already left and come back, and they had reconciled and come back. This wasn't a situation where there was any evidence of control on the part of Care Rinatala. In fact, every single situation that came to be was the opposite of what you would expect to find in any intimate partner situation, Judge. It's just not. It's not supported by the evidence whatsoever. In terms of they claim Care's decision to kill was made out of her concern for losing her daughter and her house and her money. That's just pure speculation. That's not it at all. What she said to Detective Whitney that night was that she was trying to find a way to work everything out. That's what she was saying, Judge. And in terms of her concern about losing her daughter, she was never concerned about losing her daughter. Even when they were separated, they were working together to co-parent Brianna. There was never a situation in her life that she said she was going to lose Brianna. And when they're talking about this history of domestic violence, it didn't come out at trial, Judge, but you know from the records in this case that what Anne Marie Rintala said to DSS is that the Granby Police Department forced her to say that Care had assaulted her, and that they were making homophobic comments and saying that she should not have been allowed to marry and she should not have been allowed to adopt a child. That's what happened in that situation, Judge. But she denied it the first chance that she got because it wasn't true. And so for the Commonwealth to keep banging that horse when they know what the evidence is, Judge, I think is just outrageous. And it contradicts what the facts were, both at trial and what we have in each of our trial files. So in this case, Care had already expressed a willingness to share custody when they were previously separated, and that they'd worked out a joint custody agreement. The records themselves suggest they worked out a joint custody agreement before they even dropped the divorce. So this continued banging the drums of domestic violence and control and the fear of losing Brianna just isn't, it's not supported by the evidence at all. In terms of losing her house, which is another reason the Commonwealth said that she should be punished in this case, she bought the house in 2010, Judge. She bought the house in her name and paid the mortgage. Even when they got married, Anne had no financial interest in the house because in 2010, Massachusetts required same-sex married couples to file separate tax returns and didn't recognize common property for same-sex couples. And that's what happened in 2010, Judge. So the idea that she was going to lose her house was it's just a fallacy that the Commonwealth keeps repeating to make it sound a lot more onerous than it was. In terms of losing money, again, just as Care's assets were her own, Anne's debts were her own. Care bore no liability at all for Anne's debts. And contrary to what the Commonwealth is representing, Anne's death cost Care money. In this case, she didn't benefit at all financially from the death of Anne Marie Rintala. So in this case, the Commonwealth is making these allegations of evidence that simply hasn't been presented here at all, Judge. I'd like to tell you a little bit about Care Rinatala herself. And I know it's in my sentencing memo, but Judge, I want to highlight a couple of things. She's dedicated her entire life to service. She put herself through school. She graduated from school. She immediately got a job. She went to a training program. She became an EMT, a paramedic, and ultimately a firefighter, Judge. She saved lives almost every day. That's what she did. She dedicated her life to serving, and she was happy about it. She loved the job that she had. We have letters of recommendation, letters of support from some of her fellow coworkers as far back as 2008, 9, and 10, Judge, that they still remember how active she was in her job, how well she did her job in this case, Judge. and how well she dedicated herself to service. Even when she was convicted, Judge, Care Rinatala still chose to serve. While she was in the NCI Framingham, she volunteered for the dog program to train dogs for veterans, service dogs, and she was only one of 10 people who was allowed to have that position. And she excelled at it, Judge. She trained at least 2 dogs and almost finished training the 3rd dog before she was released. And those dogs were ultimately given to wounded veterans for service purposes. At this point, Judge, she's 57 years old. And that as far as her life is concerned, since the day she adopted Brianna with Anne-Marie Rintala, she has dedicated her entire life to her daughter. When she was incarcerated, Judge, I can tell you that she telephoned her daughter every single solitary day. There wasn't a day that went by that she didn't have a conversation with her daughter. She wrote to her daughter 3 days a week. She had her daughter, she had visits with her daughter when the family could come down on the weekends, and tried to maintain a relationship with her even when she was in custody, Judge. And she did that repeatedly so that she would be a part of Brianna's life. And Brianna, literally every single second she could spend with her mother, she knew that this was the place that she wanted to be. Brianna is a better teenager and a better person today because of Cara's involvement in her life. And when Cara was released and allowed to live with Brianna for these last 2 years before this conviction, they spent every minute that they could together, Judge, every minute. And it was dedicated to her daughter. She tutored her in academics. She helped her with sports. And she started to see Brianna thrive. And that was her whole existence, Judge, is to be able to have an impact on Brianna's life so that Brianna's life was better. And she did everything in her power to make sure she did that. In the interim, she helped her parents. Her parents had stepped up and taken care of Brianna while she was in custody and while she couldn't care for her. But even under those circumstances, the Commonwealth says she shouldn't be a caretaker because she didn't care for her. She's her mother. She did everything she could within the confines of the rules that this court set upon her to continue to be a mother, Judge, and not violate any of the terms and conditions of this court. And that's what she did. So if she could have visits, she had visits. If she could write letters, she wrote letters. She did what she could to stay involved in Cara's life. And when she was out for those 2 years, Brianna cherished every single second that she had, and Cara cherished every single second that she had with Brianna, Judge. And the idea that they got to spend some time together, doing normal things like camping and going on vacation, being able to drive her to school, pick her up from school, and assist her. She made the honor roll for the first time after Cara got to live with her. That was a huge deal for Brianna. And I know she said that to the court, but she had struggled for a while with her grades. And it was Cara's influence and Cara's assistance that helped her get that self-confidence that she needed. And with respect to making the varsity teams in this case, that also was Cara. Cara was out there practicing with her. Cara went to all of the tryouts with her. Cara went to all of the team. Even when she was on trial, Judge, she would, to the extent that the probation department would let her, she would go and see her daughter play because that's how important it was for her to be involved in her daughter's life, Judge. So the idea that somehow she's using her daughter to get a more lenient sentence, she's being a mother under the confines of whatever the court has set on her in terms of restriction, and she's doing the best job that she can. And by all accounts, she's had a tremendous effect on Brianna's life for the 2 years that they were allowed to be together. And so, Judge, most of these are detailed in terms of the sentencing memo. I would suggest that as far as a criminal record, she has none. She's never been in trouble before other than this case. And that she has complied, after speaking with probation, with every single term and condition of probation since she's been released. There's never been a situation where she hasn't complied. I think her probation officer said not only does she comply, but she anticipates potential problems and notifies him in advance. She's one of the most responsible people on pretrial release that I have ever represented in the 34 years that I've been doing this, Judge. that she doesn't have any occasions where she's out of place. She doesn't have any occasions where she's not where she's supposed to be. And she has a probation officer who's 100% supportive of her, Judge. And I'd ask you to inquire of the probation officer if the court thinks that it's necessary. But I can tell you that I had that conversation, and that was the information that I was given both from her probation officer and directly from her, Judge. And then in terms of the Commonwealth's, in this case, recommendation, the guidelines in this case are 8 to 12, Judge. Because it's a non-mandatory sentence, because it's a voluntary manslaughter, you have the discretion to sentence from probation to 20 years, as this court knows. Everyone seems to start focusing on the 7.5 that she already did because she's already done that time. But this court could conceivably, after a trial, if she hadn't done any time, impose a sentence of probation. And in this case, the reason that we're talking about 7.5 years is because it's already been served. But at this point, Judge, the guidelines are 8 to 12, and I'm not saying that they are appropriate. We're asking you to give Cara a sentence of time served, and we're asking that because she has dedicated her life to public service. She is the primary caretaker of Brianna, who is 16 years old. Brianna is very attached to her mother and has some significant issues of separation every time that her mother is separated from her, Judge. And I would suggest that the Commonwealth in this case, even on the motion for consideration as a primary caretaker, has somehow morphed that into something that we've done that is nefarious. We're advocating on behalf of our client because that's our job. The law allows us to ask you to take this into consideration because the law recognizes how important a parent's influence is on a child. There's nothing nefarious about that at all. And the fact that we've filed this motion on behalf of Cara and on behalf of Brianna, who we sat down and spoke to before we even went down this road, it's because it's allowed, Judge, and you have the discretion to take that into consideration. And I think from Brianna's victim impact statement, this whole court can understand what a positive influence Cara has had on her life in the very limited time that they've had together, and a positive influence on Brianna's life, even when they were apart and even when she was in jail, Judge. So I would suggest in this case that the guideline sentence of 8 to 12 is too onerous, that a sentence of time served in this case is the appropriate sentence, Judge. In terms of the Commonwealth's recommendation for a 15 to 17-year sentence, Judge, I can't even wrap my head around it. When I sat down and started looking at their reasons are at best unsupported by the record, and at worst contradicted by the record almost on every single point that they've made here today, Judge. In this case, Judge, this is a situation where the Commonwealth has gone above and beyond what the sentencing guidelines, the advisory guidelines say is appropriate in this situation. In not even above and beyond, starting with the highest level of the guidelines. They're 3 years beyond the guidelines because they say that there are all these extenuating circumstances or aggravating circumstances. Judge, I don't think anything that they've said in terms of aggravating circumstances is realistic in any way. I'm asking you to completely discount their sentencing recommendation because it's not based in fact, and it's not based in the evidence, and it's not even supported by the positions that they've taken as far as this case is concerned, Judge. And, you know, they want to, one of the most outrageous things, Judge, is that they want to now tell this 16-year-old girl, Brianna Rintala, what type of victim she is. They don't get to do that. She decides. She's 16. And they would have known that if they had the courtesy to pick up the phone and call her. But they didn't choose to do that. Because she supports her mother, they decided that she wasn't worthy of a victim impact statement. She wasn't worthy of their consideration. She wasn't worthy of even a notification of what their recommendation was going to be. They called all the other family members and told them. I had to tell Brianna what the Commonwealth's recommendation was because they didn't have the courtesy of doing that because they've discounted her as a victim in this case, Judge. And she is one of the most important people who remains now after Anne Marie Rintala's death. And she's asked you, and we're asking you on her behalf, to impose a sentence of time served so that Cara can be reunited with her child in this case, and ask you in terms of the caretaker motion to take into consideration that Brianna's grandparents are in their 80s. They have done a fabulous job. They've done everything they could for as long as they could, but they are in their 80s. And one of Brianna's biggest concerns, Judge, is that something is going to happen to her grandparents, and she's going to end up in some sort of state custody if her mother's not around. And that literally gives her nightmares at night. We've had several conversations about that, Judge, and I can't reassure her at all. The decision is left in your hands. I understand that it's discretionary, but we're asking you to take that into consideration when imposing the appropriate sentence. We're asking in this case that the appropriate sentence be time served. Thank you.
Thank you.
She's so good.
Oh,
Damn.
While
we have
look
a
at
small
it as
break,
a whole, Judge. Look at it as a whole. I'm sorry, but
yeah.
Thank you, Dave, for the super sticker. I'm your biggest fan as well, and thank you for the video. It really helped us when Shissy's internet live feed went all to hell, and we got the most important statement. The true victim in this case, the daughter. If the judge listened to that and didn't, I had to pour myself something that could burn my throat because I got a little misty in my eyes.
choked up.
Squab Bob, thank you so much for the super chat, and thank you so much for joining me and Shissy while we covered this. This is a hard one. I'm very, very emotionally invested after listening to that daughter's impact statement, and that's why I do it. Normally, it's to cover crazy cases and stuff like that, but this one hit me in the field. So thank you so much for the support while I cover these things and try to do my foreign foreign take on this. But I'm not afraid. I'm frustrated. A 16-year-old girl who they used as the reason why her mother should get extra time in prison. They didn't even call her and talk to her because they were afraid she would be on her mother's side.
Yeah.
There should be an extra ring in Dante's hell for people who do S like this.
Yeah.
We need justice for the deceased. Of course we do. And we need to punish people who done wrong. But a judge who's been through 2 of these trials, 2 hung juries, 1 life overturned, and then the jury gave a completely
different verdict.
Yeah, and a diplomatic to end their deliberation, or there would have been another hung jury. He must take that into consideration when the judge didn't, or when the state couldn't convict her. I'm just afraid that we're gonna give her 10 years because we can't give her what the state wants. That's the state is trying to get her a conviction for murder they couldn't land because they did a shitty job and their police officers were really, really, really bad. I'm not sure she's going to get time served, but give her 10 years with time served and parole for the last. That would be justice for everyone in this case. Looking at this, the way this trial has gone. And thank you all for all the comments. I didn't want to interrupt that. I thought it was very important to listen to all of it because especially the daughter hit me very, very hard. And if I was a judge, I would listen to that girl. But I don't know this judge. I don't very hard one listening to the daughter.
You know,
she is the ultimate victim.
He said full trial too. He has to know.
I mean, the roughest part
bullshit.
of this is seeing the judge, how he's changed his attitude from the time that this trial started to the time that she was sentenced or she was convicted. I don't know how this is going to turn out with the judge.
Yep.
But it's rough.
Yeah, and you just have to look at the facts. And he, as a judge, knows that a jury is fickle. And thank you, Wolfram, so much for the $5. The only reason we are here today is we, the jury, find the defendant. Squirrel? Exactly. The state literally did like this. Don't look over here. Don't look over here. And they're trying to do the same in the sentencing. This is a judge who should know better.
Yeah.
No 7 years of probation. That would make the sentence 14 years for involuntary manslaughter. I know there's a maximum of 20, but as we say in Denmark, that's for the really, really bad cases. That's where you really went overboard. That girl, that poor 16-year-old girl who had trouble, who has anxiety, who cried for her mother, who made the honor roll. I don't know what that is. It's probably someone who did good in school. We don't have that because no one can be better than others in Denmark. You
like
could hear her heart in that speech. And I don't give a flying anything about a aunt in Florida who's not getting another phone call. She didn't visit her all that much. I'm sorry. But the only victim in this case at this time, because most of them had died because the state is a stupid. I can't say the words I want to say on YouTube. They ruined everyone's life by dragging this out and doing a shit job.
Yep.
And the only victim, I don't even care about Kara. I care about their daughter. That daughter is going to end up in a really bad place mentally if she goes away for even a year. But I'm afraid once again I will watch the American system completely rip out my heart and stomp on it and make me never want to turn on my YouTube channel again. But again, I want to cover it because other people should see how bad this system is.
Yeah, that's what it's about.
All right, you ready?
Yeah. Sorry.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Well, the taking of a life is a terrible thing.
I can't turn it up any louder.
It's the ultimate harm for Anna Marie. It was the end of the world. Every experience she ever had or ever would have was taken from her forever. And there is collateral damage about which I've heard a great deal today. A ripple effect. The lives of all of those who loved Anna Marie are forever altered and diminished. Her mother and father, who suffered every parent's worst nightmare. A brother, a sister-in-law, an aunt, an uncle, a cousin, all of them have lost someone very dear to them.
About the daughter.
Daughter, who lost a mother before she was able to form a lasting memory of her. Even the letters in support of the defendant speak to the suffering of Anna Marie and the defendant's daughter, and I heard that firsthand today. Deprived of the love, the support, and guidance of a parent, and two parents in this case. The burden on the defendant's aging parents. I understand that as well. But I sense that the author of some of these letters do not accept the jury's verdict, as they speak of the defendant suffering too, as if she is also a victim in this case. Now, I do not blame the defendant for or hold against her in any way the procedural path that this case has taken with all its twists and turns. She had a right to defend herself, to go to trial as many times as was necessary. It is not up to the Commonwealth to punish her. That is my job. And I would not, nor would I ever punish any defendant for exercising the right to go to trial.
Bullshit.
But I accept the jury's verdict in this case, as I must. And everything that I do flows from that acceptance. Everything is based on that legal fact that the defendant killed her wife. And so her daughter's suffering, the suffering of everyone involved, ultimately is on the defendant and on her alone. It is her responsibility what has happened here. But those letters also provide very useful background. They tell me about the defendant, who she is. This thing that the defendant did is certainly part of who she is, but it's not all of who she is. I understand that. Like Anna Marie, the defendant's professional life was devoted to helping others. As an EMT, like Anna Marie, as a firefighter, the defendant's job was to render aid, save lives, not to take them. And I'm sure that at certain times and to certain people, the defendant was a hero, just like Anna Marie. And so it is not merely her lack of criminal history that sets her apart from many of the defendants that come before this court for sentencing. It is the way that she has lived her life. By so many accounts, the defendant has been, for the most part, a good person in so many ways to so many people. A caring mother, a productive member of society. I accept the truth of that, even though this version of her is difficult to reconcile with the evidence I viewed at trial. The image of Anna Marie lying on the basement floor, dead, as the defendant drove her daughter to the mall. Which brings me to the nature of this offense and the circumstances surrounding the commission of this crime. The jury found that the defendant killed her wife, but it did not find her guilty of murder. And I must accept that as well, which means that the jury found the defendant guilty of a less serious offense than murder, which comes with a much lower sentencing range and guidelines. In reaching that verdict, the jury would have found that the Commonwealth had proved the elements of murder, but that there were mitigating circumstances, or perhaps more precisely, that the Commonwealth had not proven the absence of mitigating circumstances beyond a reasonable doubt. And so I must also give the defendant the benefit of that doubt.
He has to do it in case there is an appeal. And it's to tell the people in the courtroom why he's going to give the sentence he's giving.
I must assume, for the purposes of sentencing, that there was some provocation, some heated argument or physical confrontation that overwhelmed the defendant's capacity for reflection or restraint, or caused her to act out of emotion rather than reason and reflection. So I must consider her less culpable, having committed this crime in the heat of passion. But the defendant's state of mind aside, given what the evidence at this trial revealed about the type and number of injuries Anna Marie sustained and the ultimate cause of death, I do agree with the Commonwealth that this was an especially brutal crime.
My God.
Sentencing is the hardest part of my job. To assign appropriate weight to the competing factors like the ones at play here is a daunting task. I want to thank the attorneys for their presentations today and for their thorough sentencing memos throughout this entire case. You have all performed your roles at the highest level, and I do appreciate that. I want to thank those who wrote letters in support of the defendant, all of which I have carefully read. And I want to thank those who wrote or gave impact statements.
Exactly.
Please know that I read or heard and I felt all that you had to say about your loss. And I'm sure, as you know, the suffering, or the sentence rather, that I impose today is not an attempt to reduce your suffering and loss to a number. No amount of prison time would be enough to do that. There is no legal remedy that will make you whole again, because nothing I do here will bring Anna Marie back.
Exactly.
So again, I have carefully reviewed the sentencing memos. I have listened to arguments of counsel. I have read and listened to the impact statements. I've read the letters in support of the defendant. I have reviewed the sentencing guidelines and the defendant's record or lack thereof. And based on all that, I decided to give the defendant a sentence of no less than 12, no more than 14 years.
What?
I will make written findings separately with respect to the defendant's motion pursuant to Chapter 279, 6B. Thank you. Yes.
Not including time served.
Care Rinatala, hearken to the sentence which the court has awarded against you. The court, having considered the offense whereof you stand convicted, orders that you be committed to the Massachusetts Correctional Institution at Framingham in the county of Middlesex for a term of not more than 14 years and not less than 12 years, and you stand committed until the sentence be performed. Please be advised that you have the right to appeal your conviction to the Appeals Court of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts
Bullshit.
within 30 days of this date. And you have the right to appeal to the Appellate Division of the Superior Court for review of this sentence. This appeal must be filed with the clerk of this court within 10 days of this date. The court further orders that you be deemed to have served a portion of the sentence, such portion being the number of days spent by you in confinement prior to the sentence and during trial on this matter. All outstanding statutory fees have been waived by the court due to hardship, and you are in the custody of the court officers.
That's ridiculous.
Yep.
And he didn't say including time served.
She did when she read.
Yeah.
Because you can't give them 7 years and then say, oh, they don't count. Then you have to put that in. Jamie, we're never streaming again. Do you know that? This is absolutely bullshit.
Yeah.
How he reached that, the severeness of the way she was killed. She had massive head wounds. As Iris said, could have been from a fall down the stairs. No one found any weapons she did it with. No one found any evidence she made those wounds. I want a fun case. The Tronnes case I thought would be easy smeezy. Bisexual guy who liked to take pictures topless. Turned out again, no freaking evidence. He got life in prison. I'm not gonna play that. That was what I was planning. But right now I just wanna throw no ghostry. You have to read, but have to listen to what they say. 14 years with time served, not 14 years plus time served, because that would be 21 years in prison. So she got 12 to 14. But I don't know what the rules are in Massachusetts, but quick math. If she's eligible, if she is eligible for parole, she can get parole within at 10 years, must be around the 10-year mark. She should be eligible for parole. If they do that, I don't know. The definition of attorney says something after most everyone. Can you try to play that in the back end and see if you can make it out with the headset on?
See if I can pull it back up. Give me a second.
The daughter will be at most, the daughter could be 23 years old. Not well. I don't know if at less than 12 years, and then you can have parole from the 12 years. She's going to serve at least another 5, maybe less, with good behavior. No, what's the rule for parole? Normally, you say 75 to 80% for parole. The 14 is if she's not a good inmate.
Well, he said no less than 12.
No, but you can still get parole because your parole counts as to your sentencing. If you go home with a ankle bracelet on, you're still serving your sentence. You're not free.
Yeah.
How about I throw it to you in private chat? You might have better control over the volume. There's the link. And go to about the 36 minutes. Yeah, about 36 minutes into it.
Like, dude, you know that this 4 trials, 2 hung juries, 2 different convictions. This is bullshit.
It is such garbage. Such utter garbage.
And then once again, you rip this woman away from this poor kid.
Again.
And your police squad were the worst I've seen in a long time. And somebody got away with murder. Because I don't believe it was her. At all.
That daughter just lost all faith in the court system.
Yeah. You couldn't have just said.
The judge, he already knew what he was going to choose.
Yeah.
Walking into that courtroom, that impact statement meant absolutely nothing to him.
Nope.
Can you be quiet for a minute? Because I can't turn off StreamYard's sound when I'm trying to listen, and I can hear Rosemary saying something. So do some interpretive dance or something. I can't get all of it, but she shoots at the Commonwealth. But she's saying something right here, which I can't get. I should have my extra screen open so I manipulate things. Sequester something the hardest part of. The most frustrating part is the hearing.
Oof.
Yeah, she shoots a shot at the Commonwealth. Yeah. I can't hear. The most frustrating part is something with Brianna. I think she's saying Brianna's sitting over there or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't quite make out what they're saying.
Yeah, she's pretty pissed.
Yeah.
He just basically told that girl that she didn't matter. That the only reason that she's here, not because the police screwed up or didn't do their job, not because they couldn't get enough evidence to get her the first time or the second time or the third time. It took them 4 tries to do it. That it's all her fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the freaking jury was looking to appease.
They're absolutely looking to compromise. There was no doubt about it.
Yeah, and again, they sat in the jury room with 2 people saying, we don't find her guilty. Well, if we just give her voluntary manslaughter, she's getting off with time served. Oh, well, okay, we'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
And they just gave her at least 5 years in prison.
Well, they're probably sleeping pretty well with that because that's probably what they wanted.
Not the jury. I'm saying the two holdouts in the jury room who wouldn't convict her, who got sold on voluntary manslaughter, which would have given her time served. Some idiot has sold them that good in that room. I hope they don't sleep tonight.
Yeah.
I hope they play
sold
that daughter's impact statement all night long.
I hope they do.
And then say, I should have stuck to my guns. This is what you get when you compromise in a jury room.
Yeah.
A daughter's life ruined. 5 years in prison for a woman not proven guilty. I'm sorry I yelled at you, Jimmy. It wasn't at you. It was at the state.
Oh, no.
No.
We understood.
Yeah. In the end, she's saying, I'm going to talk to Brianna because you know the Commonwealth won't. But she's saying the most frustrating part is, and I think because Brianna is sitting here, it's within the last minute, Bielhammer, maybe the last half minute. It's way in the end. It cuts off right after. The max sentence was 20 years.
Yeah. Don't ever compromise in that jury room. Don't you sit there and compromise in there. Don't you care what anybody has to say. You stick to your guns. And if you don't believe that evidence has proven anyone guilty, don't bend to those people that just want to go home.
Yeah.
Because it matters. It matters to somebody's life. And somebody's
people, because those people wouldn't bend for you.
Hell no.
No.
If your butt
keep that in mind.
On
those people won't bend
at
for
the
you.
defendant table, do you think that they would give any two craps about you? No.
Nope.
And that's the problem with our jury system.
Yeah. Yeah, and better be them going to, okay, well, it would have been better for her to have a hung jury, especially now we know they gave her a plea deal of time served. That effing judge went above and beyond because she didn't show remorse. I hate it. I hate
that was the most eye-opening part. Is
you
that
don't show remorse whenever you're
was
not guilty.
Give time served and let it be if she took the plea. And because she did not, because she didn't do this and she didn't want to be convicted at all, then they're like, fine.
I don't know anything about the American system. In Denmark, if you appeal, you just do the trial again and hope that they find something, because the system where I am, I'm in the lowest level on court, and then we have the next level, and then we have the high court. But you don't bring in a whole new case, but you can appeal a case. You can just say, I want to appeal it, and then it goes to the next level. And hopefully you can perform better there. But again, appeals are for losers. And again, this has been 13 effing years of her life. Do she want to do another 4 years? Yeah, I'm very close to going to the 7-Eleven and getting me a pack of cigarettes.
7-Eleven. Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, plea deal was 7.5 years.
From what we heard, they did offer a plea deal, but she didn't take it. And it would have been time served, guys. They wanted to convict her of first-degree murder, but they were going to offer her time served. How stupid does all of this sound to anybody? 4 trials, 2 same outcomes, but 2 different convictions. And then you were going to offer the woman time served?
Yeah, and then when you get your conviction, you will double the time that you offered her because you knew you had the absolutely worst case ever. I want a clear-cut case. I want another Bradley Young. Not that he's pro se. I'm looking forward to Adam. Well, I'm not, because that's a kid case. But someone so heinously bad that I can hate him all the way through. And I want a state case so amazingly strong I can just sit here and no justice is done, and the worst person in the world is going away forever. Then I saw Zachariah Anderson. Now I saw Care Rinatala. And to a certain degree, even though I know in my mind, I think he's guilty, David Tronnes, he was hit by exactly the same problem. A police system that doesn't do the job, a tail-spinning prosecution, and a jury that didn't know what reasonable doubt is. And again,
premeditated meant.
they did the same to Kara as they did to Zach. You didn't cry enough when you got sentenced. That what if you the meaning both those judges have. You didn't cry enough. Zach is 100% sure he's innocent. How should he sit there and weep and make a show of it? The man believed in his heart of hearts he was wrongfully convicted. But you're gonna hold him against it?
Yep.
Hold it against him?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I haven't seen anything in the media up to this other than the wife murder, and I would have brought in but they were probably not allowed to bring in the anti-gay stuff. Well, 12 to 14, so you didn't miss anything. No, and she will have to sue the state afterwards.
Yeah.
So again, yeah, it's all feelings. You didn't show enough remorse. We saw in the Tronnes case, you didn't cry. Well, if you and the horse you rode into town on.
So aggravated with this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that just shows that you've got a system where you think that if you do something, you know,
and I don't give a
any little thing that you do, any little thing. Imagine right now you're sitting here watching this, and you get up and leave your loved one, your spouse. You go and you take the kids to go get a dinner, and you come back, and they're
so angry. I need
no
to
longer with
walk
you.
and have some.
That they can come and blame you for it,
yeah,
and prove that you did it, and say that you did it, and you know that you didn't do a single damn thing. You just went to go take the kids to go get some dinner. You're fighting this uphill battle. That's it. There you are, having done nothing but just go out for a bit, and you come back. And because they decided, oh, well, the timeline, you totally could have done this. And now you're sitting on the hot seat. And a case like this, you'll go bankrupt. It'll break you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just absolute garbage.
I mean, this is one I have never seen in my lifetime doing like watching trials 4 times, and you can't even, it's not been consistent at all. I'm sure they've been consistently telling, well, obviously there's the paint drying expert, but consistently telling the same, showing the same evidence, telling the same story, and you can't get anybody to decide.
Because it wasn't right.
Yeah.
It wasn't right.
You're going to
in
keep
any
going.
way,
You're
shape,
going to
or
keep
form.
dragging this woman into court, this poor girl, rip her away from her only family. It's awful. And then you have a judge there like, give me a break, dude. And to see,
you know what it reminds me of? The McMartin preschool trials. That's what it reminds me of.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah. So the what was the name of the couple? Dan and Fran Keller. Just look up Dan and Fran Keller. And
it's gonna be a 2-shot night.
That's all.
Ghostry, I don't give a flying F of who appointed your judge. God Almighty himself could have done it, and I don't give a flying F. He did a poor job. He could have been a crusader sent from God himself. What he did was wrong, and I don't care about politics. Screw politics. We're talking about a life. So if anyone wants to make it political, please go do that. It's not on this channel. Sorry, I don't care about American politics. Well, I do because you lead the world. But in this case, we're talking about a life. And if anyone wants to belittle it to who appointed some judge, you're looking at this the wrong way, because a Democrat or Republican judge, I don't care. I know they're partisan. I know some think that Republicans are tougher on crime or someone is easier on crime. I don't care about who appointed this judge. I hate what he just did because it's wrong. And I'm sorry to all the 52 people who came here. I'm normally a very happy guy, and I'm normally very, very, very easygoing. But this is injustice. I hate to be the one who is yelling at everyone, and I'm mad about everything right now. I shouldn't be. I should just smile and grift a bit and say, "Oh, tomorrow I'm gonna do the Frankie body cams, and it's gonna be interesting. You can super chat me, and you can share my chats, and you can give membership." No, this is a travesty we just witnessed. I'm so sorry that you have to see me like this, because I like to keep the mood good, open, and clean, and make fun of everything, even in bad trials. I try to make a little sunshine. I make my stupid drawings. I make my innuendos. But this is a miscarriage of justice in my eyes. And I'm sorry. I don't care. I don't care if he had breakfast this morning or whatever he did. Listening to that kid ruined my day. And it's probably going to ruin my life. Not life, night. Because I'm probably going to get off this and get hammered and yell at the wall. I'm sorry. And more people should be angry. No, I'm going to pull up shizzes, and then I'm going to turn off my mic, and then I'm going to yell a bit.
Yeah. So this was in 1991. Christina Chavers, on the summer of 1991, when a 3-year-old was infrequently dropped at their home base in Oak Hill Daycare. Among the multiple counts were allegations that Danny had forcibly done some things to her. On the witness stand, the little girl sat on her sister's lap and replied, "No. Did he ever touch you anyway? No. Did you ever do any of this? No, no, no. Did somebody tell you it happened?" And the little girl said yes. Fran held her hands, all emotional. Last year had welled up. Finally, she thought everyone in the courtroom had heard the truth. Nothing had happened. Fran felt relief, but that's not what happened. Instead, Fran and Danny Keller were each convicted of sexually assaulting this little girl, and they were sentenced to 48 years in prison. After 17 years, they maintained their innocence. Finally, the investigation was uncovered potentially exculpatory evidence that the Kellers' defense attorneys say were not aware of at the time of the trial. There remain no doubts about the killer's guilt. Indeed, the open question. They were devastated by the charges, but that's not where it ended. All of that garbage, they had to go through bad witnesses, bad testimony, bad garbage. Graveyard rituals is what they were accused of. They were accused of all this heinous stuff. Oh, Satan's arm bone. I mean, it was all of these things, calling them Satan worshipers and the most evil, heinous kinds of things. Pain, suffering, legal procedure. And after 17 years, they were finally released. After 17 years, they were finally released because they found that the evidence wasn't real. This kind of miscarriage of justice happens because of really just overzealous prosecutors that are just looking for that conviction at any cost. And until you can stop that from happening, you're going to see more and more of this happening to people.
Yeah. And again, to everyone, we try to cover cases with an open mind. We try to say when we feel stuff has been proven, we try to play both sides. We have one rule on my streams: everyone is innocent until proven guilty. Yeah, Mike. Oh, the lawyers in the Delphi case quit. Well, that's. You should all go and watch. I believe Mo is probably covering that. I haven't looked into that. I don't know enough about it.
Me neither.
At any cost is correct. Yeah. This conviction has cost the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, millions of your taxpayer dollar just to hit a girl they couldn't provide enough evidence to hit the first 2 go-arounds. And then they got lucky. They had 2 weak, I don't know, it's 2. They had at least 1 weak juror who said, okay, let's give her the lesser included. Well, Straight, thank you for listening. But everyone, this wasn't the night I was hoping for. I wanted to see her get off with 3 years of probation and time served.
Well, even 7 years of probation. Even 7 years of probation, she would have done every single bit of that to be with her daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could have given her 10 years, 15 years of probation.
He could have done that.
She would have done every single bit of it to be with her daughter. This is.
Food Fairy, I'm not really doing restreams. I try to, because I do my daily daytime streams because of the time zones. So I will probably be trying to pick up the Vicene case on Monday. It should be beginning Monday. We covered it. Covered the charges against her. When did we do that, Jamie? Sunday?
Yes.
Yeah. And tomorrow I will do a run through of the different body cams from the Ruby Frankie case. That's the case with the 8 passenger connection out of Utah. Saturday will be Stabio Day. Sunday I will have a bake stream. I will make some very easy, very cheap cakes you can use as Halloween candy if you want, because I need to clean my soul after this one. And I'm working on getting an interview about the Karen Reed case, getting more details in that one. That might happen next week. I'm trying to figure out how we can do it, because I have to figure out the time zones and stuff like that. So we will trot on as we always do. The Angry Baker gets good again. He just needs to.
Needs a breather.
Well, yeah, he just needs.
Hang out with me on Friday if you're up and about.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking, and I get way too emotional.
Well, Friday we're Junior and I are going to be doing the Johnny Depp stuff. We're going to be making light of that.
Yeah,
it's going to be fun.
I finished my baking studio setup. It's my drawing studio as well. So I have that up. I think I put some extra RAM in, so I shouldn't be so slow when I use that laptop, because it's an old laptop. But there will be a baking stream. It'll be a fun stream. It will be back to Baker. It'll be lighthearted. He's not as angry when he's baking. Baker is angry because of the conviction. But we should be, and everyone should be. Unless you think the state did it, then it's okay. Then I'm just an angry idiot yelling at the screen. But that's my prerogative. I won't burn my biscuits tonight. I think I'm just gonna slam one more of these, and then I'll go to bed, and maybe I'll wake up early enough to stop by Shizzy's or MG's or something, because I need to make fun of stuff again, because I don't like being angry. I work really, really hard at being positive, and I went into this night with so much hope.
Yeah, we'll be starting ours up at 6:30 p.m. Eastern on Friday. Oh, so you'll probably be
You're not going
crawling back
tonight?
into bed.
You're not going tonight?
Do what?
You're not going tonight?
No, that's Thursday. That today's Thursday for us. Tomorrow is Friday.
Yeah.
So
No, I know, but I've just thought that you had it set up for today. You and Junior.
I had to double check with Jess, and she was like, "No, you were right. It's Friday." I was like, "Okay." I thought that's what we had discussed.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to be doing that Friday and probably throughout the weekends, and we'll be just switching off who hosts it, but we'll be co-streaming it, so it'll be a dual stream on both.
Yeah, and I think Jess is on with the other Jess tonight, then. So, but let's get out of this hellhole.
Maybe, yeah.
And let me thank Dave again for the super sticker, Squad Bob for the super chat, and Wolfram for the super chat. Thank you all so much. It's very, very much appreciated. I just have to check if Veal sent me the audio clip. Maybe we can hear it.
He said he did.
Where did you send it to me?
Said he sent it to your email.
My email?
Email?
Your YouTube account email. That's what it says.
Your email.
I'm not sure I have my Dropbox set up.
God. Cannot believe that crap.
Yeah. Like, what? I don't get why they think they have to, like, I don't know, prove something.
Burn it all down is what they're hoping to do, I guess. I don't know. That's the screwiest I've seen.
Like, and you sat through the same trial we did. Judge, you cannot tell me that they proved jack to anybody.
What he's telling you.
Just because, the jury has spoken. Well, you know what? I'm sorry. I could never I could never be in the law field, because I'd be like, yeah, because they're a bunch of jackasses.
Yeah, you have to couch your words carefully.
Exactly. And I could never.
Man.
The most frustrating part is
We'll talk to him. You know the Commonwealth won't.
Can't hear what she's saying the first time around. The most frustrating is something.
I think she's thinking the same thing. That it was a compromise. That's the most frustrating part about it. Is that was a compromise on the jury's part, and that should never happen. I think she's thinking this. She's saying the same thing we all are.
Yeah. And thank you so much, Wilhelm. Yeah, you can't clear that up enough because she's moving around and talking down into the table. But I like that she would talk to the kid because the state wouldn't. That was a clear dig at the state.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I can just hear that she's saying the most frustrating part is, and then there's a little scrabble, so you can't hear it. And I think she says because the kid's here or something like that afterwards. And I like that she's going to talk to the kid. I can hear that part clearly enough. It's what the most frustrating part she thinks are. But everyone should go and subscribe to this beautiful man.
He is a beautiful man. Look at him.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You're awesome, Baker. This is a rough one. It was a rough one.
We had some fun.
Yes,
we did have some fun.
It was just we didn't think it was gonna. We thought we were gonna get the outcome we wanted. I really did think we were.
I was betting on 10 years with 3 years of parole, but again, I don't know anything. And
I thought
you should all
a hung jury, to be honest with you, and that was going to be done.
But they caved. Yeah, all go and subscribe to Wheelhammer. He does a lot of magic with audio. And go and subscribe to MLS because he gave us the feed so we can play it. And the rest of you, I'll corner kiss all of you again tomorrow. I'll find a time when I'm going to set up the stream. Corner kisses is what we need right now.
Oh.
I made Jamie laugh even on this bad day. My job is done. Jamie, I'll corner kiss you any day. See you all tomorrow. Bye.